Welcome to Football Scientific. My name is Aaron Sauter. I'm a writer for the UFL News Hub and the CFL News Hub. I cover the San Antonio Brahmas of the UFL, the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the CFL, the IFL, the Indoor Football League, the NAL, the National Arena League, and the ELF, the European League of Football. This here is my co-host, Timmy, the Trash Talking Tiger Shark. Welcome, my fans. I appreciate you all. I am Timmy, that trash-talking tiger shark. I have made it to the show once again. Yes, Timmy, you've made it to the show once again. Today, we have a show packed full of information, and we're going to lead off with our predictions for this weekend's games in the NAL, the IFL, and the UFL. Yes, we have games in the IFL, the NAL, and the UFL. We'll be making our predictions. Just a disclaimer, these predictions are not meant for gambling purposes, but I do use gambling lingo and metrics to judge myself and me and Timmy in terms of how will we predict the games, how will we analyze the teams. The data is useful for determining how well me and Timmy, I said that, predict the outcomes, and understand those leagues of football, okay? So it's for fun. We're going to have a great time with it. I also have some NFL news, and I got some ELF news, along with some CFL news in there. So let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. It's going to be a lot to talk about. So first, we look at 3 games this week in the NAL. Is week 4 of the NAL. Okay, National Arena League. There are 3 games. So the first one is tomorrow night, Friday, March 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Remember, you can watch that on the NAL channel on YouTube. Okay, I'll be watching it there most likely. Once again, last week, the Carolina Cobras traveled to Columbus, Georgia to face Columbus Lions. It was a disaster for the Carolina Cobras. They were shut out 25-0. This week, the Columbus Lions traveled to the Carolina Cobras. Can the Cobras get back at the Lions? I'm going to be honest. Watching the game, the Columbus Lions defense locked down the Carolina Cobras. I'm not sure if there's an easy solution for that kind of domination by the Columbus Lions defense. But here's what I do know. Last week was the first time the Carolina Cobras have ever been shut out. And honestly, you very, very rarely see an indoor football league team get shut out. The Columbus Lions have shut out 2 teams, Peach State Cats and the Carolina Cobras. The Cobras are a much more impressive team to shut out. Okay? All right, so what's happening in that game? Well, the Columbus Lions, they're bringing Offensive Player of the Week last week, quarterback Marcus Brown. He threw for 152 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Carolina Cobras. Okay, also they had Defensive Player of the Week, defensive lineman DeAndre Brown, 5 tackles, 2 sacks. I'm assuming that they're coming to the game. There's no guarantee. Traveling can be weird in the NAL. They're traveling to the Carolina Cobras. Boom, they had Special Teams Player of the Week, even though they got to be 25-0. They had Special Teams Player of the Week. And he was a kick returner for them, Damon Starks. And he had 3 kick returns, 59 yards, and he had an average 19 yards per return. It wasn't enough to score, though, so that's kind of sad for him. Okay, all right, so Columbus Lions, we know their offense went to their quarterback. He threw a lot of crossing routes. He hit a few deep balls. Crossing routes are where you live in indoor football, okay? Crossing routes, shallow, deep crossing routes, running the ball. The quarterback is kind of a larger quarterback. I don't think he's a runner, really. He's more of a passer, but they do have a good running back. And their defense is killer. Killer defense by the Columbus Lions. Carolina Cobras, they come home. Are they going to make the adjustments so that they can beat the Columbus Lions? I don't think so. I think that if it was a close game last week, I would pick the Carolina Cobras this week at home. Because I think home field advantage makes a big difference, okay? But I don't think it makes 25 points of difference. So this week, I am favoring the Columbus Lions over the Carolina Cobras 28-15, okay? I think the Carolina Cobras will find ways to score against the Columbus Lions defense. I'm hopeful. I don't want to watch another 25-0 game. That's boring. So boring for indoor football. It's cool to have a dominant team like the Columbus Lions in their defense. But you need other team to, compete. 25-0 is boring. 28-15 is slightly less boring. Still kind of boring though. Okay? That's the first NAL game. I got Columbus Lions beating Carolina Cobras 28-15. Okay. Saturday, March 29th. That's Saturday, this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Once again on the YouTube, the NAL network, okay, their channel. We got the 0-1 Idaho Horsemen traveling to the 2-0 Omaha Beef. Ooh, this is an ugly matchup in my mind. Omaha Beef, I have them as a top team in the league right now. They have a good running game. They have a good passing game. They have a good defense. They're not the best at any of those things, but they're really good at all those things. And they're the most complete team I've seen. I think their offense is better than the Columbus Lions. Defense isn't quite as good. I think it's going to be, if it ends up being Columbus Lions and Omaha Beef, that'll be a crazy matchup, okay? But against the Idaho Horsemen, a problem with Idaho Horsemen is, first, their defense is not very strong, and they really can't run the ball. They play up an empty set. Their quarterback likes quick passes, crossing routes, of course, crossing routes everywhere. A couple deep balls. Doesn't really complete the deep balls. Can hit a deep crosser, though, going across the field. Okay, running game. Non-existent. And what happened to the Idaho Horsemen last time they played is they kept getting past the midfield, past the 25-yard line, and they couldn't finish any drives. Even not like the 5-yard line, they couldn't finish any drives because they had no running game. Here's what I'm going to say. I think the Omaha Beef will make a few mistakes on every game. They make a few mistakes on defense. They let the Colorado Spartans score 12 points, okay? So I say Omaha Beef win the game in Omaha 50-12 over the Idaho Horsemen, putting Omaha 3-0, Idaho 0-2. So I got Omaha Beef beating the Idaho Horsemen 50-12. Write it down. That's important, okay? All right, the last NAL game for Week 4 is on Saturday, March 29th at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. And that has the Colorado Spartans, who I just mentioned, are 1-1, traveling to the Sioux City Bandits. They're 1-1. This is going to be a matchup for second place in that division, the National Division, whatever you want to call it. The side with Omaha, Colorado, Sioux City, and Idaho. The name's not as important as knowing who the teams are. So Colorado Spartans are going on the road. It's tough to go on the road. They may not bring all their players. They didn't bring all their players to Omaha. They might have some travel issues. Sioux City Bandits are a solid team, not the best team. They got beat by the Beaumont Renegades because they stopped playing defense in the second half. Okay, they can run the ball, they can pass the ball, they can run crossing routes. They're functional, and they play pretty good defense. But they dipped way off against the Beaumont Renegades. Boo. Now against Idaho Horsemen could not finish any drives against them. So they did really well against them. I got Sioux City Bandits winning that game 52-30 and securing second place in the conference. Okay, going back to the top, Columbus Lions, when they beat Carolina, they'll be securing the top spot in the conference. Okay, hopefully Carolina puts up a fight then. That was sad last week. So that's the NAL predictions. Tell me, what do you think? I think the Lions are cool. They're going to win. I don't know by how much. I'm a tiger shark. I don't do math well. And then Omaha Beef, yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win. And then against Horsemen, I don't know what that means. And then we got the Colorado Spartans and Sioux City Bandits. They got a cowboy with a mask on. He's going to win. Sioux City Bandits. Hey, 100. Okay, Timmy. All right. Okay. Next, we have our IFL Week 2 predictions. Now, one added feature to the IFL, unlike the NAL. In the NAL, I'm not sure if you wanted to gamble, where you would gamble on that league. You would have to know somebody that takes bets on that. Now, I'm not encouraging the gambling, But I'm saying Vegas doesn't produce metrics for the NAL because there's no gambling on it. Okay, with the IFL, you can bet on that on DraftKings. Now, I'm not encouraging that, but I am using their metrics a little bit as a guide because, you would think they understand what's going on. They don't. They don't put scouts from DraftKings at IFL practices, I'm pretty sure. So these are not always accurate. But I made my predictions early in the week, so they kind of matched up, which is cool. That means at least they're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking the same thing they're thinking. That's good to know. I won't be totally off base, hopefully, okay? So first, Friday night, March 28th, 7:05 p.m. Eastern, the Quad City Steamers, who are 1-0, visit the Massachusetts Pirates, who are 0-1. Okay, generally Massachusetts is tough at home. Quad City Steamwheelers pulled out a tight one against the Green Bay Blizzard at home. They don't always travel well, but I really was disappointed in the Massachusetts Pirates quarterbacks last week. There were a lot of interceptions. And Daquan Neal ended up being the Offensive Player of the Week, throwing for 2 touchdowns, running for 3. I really didn't see the quarterbacks at Massachusetts really put up in front of a fight. They seemed more like pocket passers. Puka Williams was good for them, but I think they're giving a hard time getting their offense popping the way they should without a dual threat quarterback like Daquan Neal. So with that in mind, here's the deal. I have the Quad City Steamers beating Massachusetts Pirates 38-36 by 2 points. Once again, winning by 2 points. I think it's going to be a close match. I don't think the Steamwheelers have the ability to dominate the game. I think their defense is not good enough to dominate the game. But I do think Daquan Neal is good enough to win the game. So I have Quad City beating Massachusetts Pirates 38-36. DraftKings has the Pirates as a 1.5 point favorite. Okay, and they said the over-under is 80.5. So I'm picking the underdog with the 1.5 points. So I got 38, so I got them winning by 2. I have them covering the spread. Okay, you got to cover the spread, and they're going to win the game outright. I have it going under 38, 36 to 74 points. I have it under for that. Usually in the IFL, the first couple of weeks of games are unders a lot. Depending on the teams, of course. Also, Friday night, March 28th, 7:05, that's tomorrow night. The Iowa Barnstormers, who did not play a game yet, traveled to the Green Bay Blizzard. Green Bay Blizzard got beat by the Quad City Steamers on the road last week. They're usually much better at home. They have a big crowd, a lot of energy. It snows in there. Seems like a fun environment. Iowa Barnstormers, I think they're a mess at quarterback. I think they've made some moves to try and get better. Injuries have been their biggest thing the last couple of years. But I think their quarterback situation, those guys don't sound like starting quarterbacks in the IFL. Okay? But I've been wrong before. Obviously, last week I went 1-2 in the IFL. So I've been wrong before. I don't think I'm wrong here, though. I got the Green Bay Blizzard at home winning 34-16 over Iowa Barnstormers. I don't think Green Bay Blizzard does not blow your doors off on offense. They play a solid defense, especially in the red zone. So I think they're going to be it's going to be a lower scoring game. Like I said, Green Bay Blizzard 34, Iowa Barnstormers 16. DraftKings has Green Bay Blizzard a 5.5 point favorite. So I'm picking that because I think they'll cover that spread and win the game outright. Okay. And then I have it under. DraftKings has an 81.5 as the over-under. I have it under like 50 points by a lot. I just don't think it would be out of character for those teams to score that many points, honestly. Okay? All right, next. Saturday, March 29th at 9:05 p.m. Eastern. You got the Fishers Freight, expansion team Fishers Freight, traveling to the Northern Arizona Wranglers, their first game of their history. They're going on the road to Northern Arizona. It's a tough trip. Northern Arizona's tough at home. Okay? I have, because Fishers Freight are going to have a solid defense. I don't trust Jaya Wright at quarterback. I think he's going to make a lot of mistakes. Okay? Northern Arizona Wranglers have a quarterback situation themselves, but usually they have a strong running game. So even if their quarterback isn't passing the ball well, they usually have a strong running game. They have a lot of new players, though, and a new coach, so you never know. But with the limited knowledge I have, I got the Northern Arizona Wranglers beating the Fishers Freight 30-14. 30-14. DraftKings favors North Arizona by 1.5 points. Okay, so I would bet with the Northern Arizona Wranglers if I was betting, which I'm not. They're going to cover that spread. The over and under is 84.5 points. I think they don't come close to touching that. I got them at 44 points. I just don't. Northern Arizona is not usually a high-scoring team, especially when I don't trust their quarterbacks. I got this being a 13-14 game. Very ugly game. Okay? Sunday, March 30th, 6:05 p.m. Eastern. You got the Tucson Sugar Skulls, 0-0, traveling to Arizona Rattlers, 0-0. Okay? Rattlers have Drew Powell, Dalton Sneed at quarterback. Those guys are some of the better quarterbacks in the league. Last year, Dalton Sneed won the IFL championship with Arizona. Drew Powell's been an MVP in the past. Okay, they're very good with them. And they have a strong defense and a good running game. Tucson Sugar Skulls, I think they're going to struggle with Charles McCullum at quarterback. They're probably going to come out running the ball quite a bit like they did last year, hoping to play some defense. I don't think it's going to work out for them. I think it will be a competitive game, though. I think Tucson and Billy Back want to try and upset the Arizona Rattlers, who tend to struggle at the Desert Diamond Center. Okay, so right now I got the Arizona Rattlers winning that game 46-27. But last year the Rattlers, started up 0-3. So you never know. IFL, you never know. But I got the Rattlers beating the Tucson Sugar Skulls 46-27. Oddly enough, both teams are owned by Kevin Guy and his wife. So you never know. Maybe they'll do something. Make sure the Sugar Skulls win. Maybe it's the Sugar Skulls turn to win the game. I don't think so. Arizona Rattlers 46. Tucson Sugar Skulls 27. DraftKings agrees. They have the Arizona Rattlers as an 8.5-point favorite. I would go with that. The over and under is 82.5. I have it at 73, so I'm going under on that. Keep in mind I was 2-1 over under last week. Okay? All right. There's more IFL games. Sunday, March 30th, 8:05 p.m. Eastern. San Antonio Gunslingers, 0-1. Travel to the Bay Area Panthers, 0-0. Bay Area Panthers, one of the top teams in the West. San Antonio Gunslingers struggled last week to produce points, which is not their nature. But their quarterbacks are very hesitant to make plays. Okay, so Bay Area Panthers, they have a whole bunch of players from Northern Arizona Wranglers. They still have Rob Keefe as their D coordinator. I think their defense will be super strong. I think that they will struggle to produce points because they have a new quarterback and maybe a new offensive system, new head coach, new offensive system. I think they'll struggle to score points, but not against the San Antonio Gunslingers. Gunslingers don't have a great defense. They gave up 28 points to Tulsa. Tulsa's a defense-heavy team. Okay, so I got Bay Area Panthers beating San Antonio 52-36. 52-36, okay? I got the DraftKings has the Bay Area Panthers as a 7.5-point favorite, a 7.5-point favorite, okay? So that means I would go with the Bay Area Panthers. Over under, they have it at 83.5. I have it at 88. So I have the over on that one. I think Bay Area is going to score some points. I think San Antonio scores some points. I think San Antonio will get better each week. Hopefully. We'll see. All right, Monday, March 31st. That's a Monday game. San Diego plays a lot of Monday games at 10:05 p.m. It's a late Monday game. Vegas Nighthawks, probably the best game of the weekend, though. Vegas Nighthawks travel to the San Diego Strike Force. Vegas Nighthawks, led by what is currently looked at as the top quarterback in the IFL, Jerome Johnson. They have a decent defense. They're going to the San Diego Strike Force. Great quarterback, Nate Davis, great at throwing deep balls and deep crossing routes. It should be an exciting game. Both defenses should be solid. I got the Vegas Nighthawks winning 51-49. I got a shootout. I got the Nighthawks winning 51-49 over the San Diego Strike Force in San Diego. DraftKings agrees almost exactly. They got the Vegas Nighthawks as a 1.5-point favorite. I have them as a 2-point favorite. That's really close. Keep in mind, I picked mine earlier in the week. They picked theirs, they released them today. Over-under's 84.5. I got the over. I got 100 points scored in the game. Because I know both teams, they like to put up points. But it's week 1, so you never know. Okay. Next. The UFL. Those are some really cool IFL predictions. Thank you, Timmy. Okay. UFL. The first prediction. Are they going to play or not play? I don't know. Okay. So here's what came out. Yesterday, Kai Nakua, brother of Puka Nakua, he said, hey man, the only leverage we have with the UFL is to not play these games. Keep in mind, the first game is tomorrow on Fox, okay? They have not went on strike yet. It could go on strike tomorrow at like noon or 5 o'clock, okay? Hopefully they don't go on strike at all. If you don't, you're going to kill the league, especially doing it that way. It's going to be real dramatic. But here's what I said at the beginning of this. UFL, you have quarterbacks who want to go on strike. I say release them. Boop. Bring in new quarterbacks from the IFL. Roll on. No one's going to notice the difference, in my opinion. I asked people that agree with me on that. No one would notice the difference. It'd still be spring football. It'd be fun to watch. Those IFL quarterbacks, they get after it, okay? All right. So they did not do that. They decided to play nice. They even, I read an article today from Fox saying the UFL offered increased pay, but the UFL players turned it down. So the UFL did offer increased pay. Okay? Here's what Fox says. They're broadcasting tomorrow night's game and Saturday's game. Okay? They say if the league and union don't come to an agreement by tomorrow, Fox will air reruns of The Masked Singer instead. Oh. So they're just going to, if you want to mess around with labor, they're just going to throw you off the broadcast and just play something they know people will want to watch. They don't want to watch UFL people bicker on this stuff. They don't want to see people arguing about money in the UFL. So they're gonna say, you're not this important. Bye, and play The Masked Singer instead. Okay? The bickering needs to end, UFL. Okay. If there's a player strike, they're going to put on Masked Singer. Like I said, the UFL offered to pay more after the quarterbacks didn't come to the quarterback development camp. They said, we'll help you, we'll play you a little bit. But from this point, the UFL seems dug in and they're unwilling to bend on anything because they don't have money. They know they don't have money. Okay, so now Fox is saying, hey y'all, if you can't get over this, you can't stop bickering about money, we're just going to throw on Masked Singer and forget about y'all. See ya. Fox isn't making money off the UFL, obviously. Okay. But let's make our first prediction. Let's predict they'll play tomorrow. I'm going to predict they'll play tomorrow, okay? So, week 1, tomorrow night, in theory, you have the St. Louis Battlehawks traveling to the Houston Roughnecks. That game's going to be played at 8 p.m. tomorrow on Fox. Okay? I see the St. Louis Battlehawks. They're going to have Manny Wilkins at quarterback. I don't think their offense is going to light the world up. They have a new OC. It's going to take them a while to get into a rhythm, I believe, but they have a strong running game with Jacob Sailors, Josh Sailors, whatever his name is. They have a good offensive line. They have a solid defensive line. Their secondary gives up big plays. They have Hakeem Butler at receiver. Houston Roughnecks, they have a better defensive line they've had. They have a good offensive line. They got some good running backs and Kalen Ballage and, other people. I think that's the Renegades, actually. I guess they got some people. I don't know. But they got C.J. Johnson as their coach. They got Anthony Brown starting the game. I think it's supposed to be bad weather. So I think St. Louis will struggle with the bad weather. I think Houston will struggle no matter what. So with that in mind, I have the St. Louis Battlehawks beating the Houston Roughnecks 18-11 in a really ugly, unpleasant game. If it's shown on Fox, I'll probably watch it with an IFL game showing too. If it's not, I'll just watch the IFL and NAL. I'll be like the Masked Singer. I'm not going to watch the Masked Singer. Okay, all right. St. Louis Battlehawks. So I got Battlehawks winning 18-11 over Houston Roughnecks. That's going to give us a total points of 29. DraftKings has St. Louis favored by 6. I would hit that because I got them winning by 7. They have an over-under at 37.5. I'm going under on that, especially with the bad weather. I'm definitely going under on that. Okay, game 2. Saturday, March 29th, 4 p.m. Eastern, also on Fox, theoretically. Okay, San Antonio Brahmas, supposed to have Kellen Mond leading their explosive offense. We had AJ said last year's offense wasn't that explosive. They ended up becoming a power run team because the quarterback situation was ugly. So let's assume Kellen Mond is an upgrade and comes out and runs this offense like a dream. I think they struggle with pass protection still. I think they can run the ball some with some RPOs. It may look a little janky. You know, it comes out a little weird sometimes. Okay. Arlington Renegades should have a powerful running game. So we have some RPOs, some play action with Luis Perez. Okay. I don't think home field advantage means anything in the UFL because they all hub up in Arlington. So is it really a road game? Aren't they all road games? Aren't they all home games? In Arlington, it's a home game for everyone. So I don't think that matters. The weather might affect things. But I have San Antonio coming out better than Arlington, but not perfect. I think they'll make a lot of mistakes. I think they'll have a hard time getting the offense rolling. They had a hard time getting offense rolling last year. Okay? So I got the San Antonio Brahmas beating the Arlington Renegades 19-10. 19-10. DraftKings. Oh, that's 29 total points by me. Okay. DraftKings has the San Antonio Brahmas winning by 3. They have set the over-under at 37. I say there's no way they scored 37 points. 29 is the max. Okay. I go under. Game 3. Theoretically on ESPN for the Sunday games. Game 3 is March 30th, Sunday at 12 p.m. Okay, Michigan Panthers travel to the Memphis Showboats. Okay, I think Michigan Panthers have a much better offensive line and a much better defensive line. I think they have great running backs. I think they have average at best quarterbacks, probably less than average. And they're splitting time with those quarterbacks. Okay, Memphis Showboats have upgraded their roster, but their head coach left. Offense, I think, is going to be a mess with Jim Turner and the other dude calling plays when they don't really understand the offense of Ken Winston. They're going to be splitting quarterbacks time. E.J. Perry, who used to be a Panther, and Troy Williams will be splitting time. Neither were impressive to me last year. Okay, they do have a couple good receivers. They have a good running back. So I got Michigan Panthers winning 28-11 with a total number of points of 39. DraftKings has Michigan Panthers winning by 4, and they have the over-under at 38. I'm going over just barely. 1 point over. I think the Panthers will win by a lot, but they won't score as many points as they should. I think they'll make a lot of miscues on offense. 39 is the over, though, just by a little bit. That's all that matters is a little bit. It's okay. Okay, last game of the UFL on ESPN, 3 p.m. Birmingham Stallions, best team in the league, travel to DC Defenders, lost their coach. Last year, that game was really close. Birmingham Stallions, DC Defenders was like a 2 or 3 point game. It was a battle. Okay? DC Defenders run an offense that's going to keep risk down. They run a defense that's crazy. If they get to your quarterback, they get some interceptions, this could be a close game. But I think because the DC Defenders don't have their head coach anymore, and they have a lot of messiness in their coaching staff, and the Birmingham Stallions you're very solid with Skip Holtz and their team, and they have the best offensive line, best defensive line, best secondary, really good running back splitting time, and decent quarterback splitting time, although I don't like their quarterbacks really. I think that's their limiting factor. If DC upsets Birmingham's because their quarterbacks made a bunch of mistakes, okay? All right, Matt Corral and Alex Magoo. Alex Magoo is probably better than Matt Corral, just like Adrian Martinez was better than Matt Corral last year. I don't know who's going to start the game. They probably don't know who's going to start the game. I got Birmingham winning 25-12 over the DC Defenders. Okay. Total number of points, I got at 37. Okay. DraftKings. They have Birmingham Stallions winning by 7. Okay. I got them winning by 13. That's pretty good. Okay. And they have the over-under at 41. I say no way. Birmingham Stallions do not need to score enough to get the total score to 41. I think DC will struggle to put points on the board because they're head coach leaving. It's a bunch of moving parts. Okay. But they'll have Abram Smith. Maybe they'll come out and run it down to Birmingham's throat. I got Birmingham winning 25-12. Boom. Okay. In the CFL, interesting story. If you remember back to last week, Edmonton Elks GM Ed Hervey, he made wide receiver Geno Smith really mad by saying, hey man, there's no superstars in the CFL. CFLPA stepped in and said, bro, we're all superstars. Ed Hervey was like, I meant like memorable players. He forgot about Doug Flutie and Warren Moon. Okay? So, Ottawa Red Blacks, general manager Sean Burke had a conversation with Geno Lewis. Geno Lewis, not Geno Smith. That's quarterback for the Raiders. Geno Lewis, I guess he's not a superstar. I got his name wrong. Sorry. No hate, Geno. Okay, so Sean Burke said, hey, Geno, we want to bring in the best players we can. That's our free agency policy. We would like to bring you in and pay you what you wanted to get paid at Edmonton. They don't care. They've went over the cap before. BC Lions. Speaking of going over the cap before, BC Lions signed American wide receiver Lynn Bowden Jr. He played at Kentucky. Okay, more salary cap references. We mentioned last week that during free agency, 3 days into free agency, the CFLPA said, hey, we're increasing the salary cap by $412,000. Many of the GMs in the league were like, this sounds not legit. We're not going to spend that money because we don't want to be penalized for going over the salary cap and giving other teams, penalties for that. Although they'd pretty much all go over salary cap if they thought it was real. Well, CFLPA comes out today and they said, hey man, that increase we mentioned, it's not set in stone. We don't really know if that's real or not yet. They're going to go through, hopefully before the season starts in May and June, really. They're hoping to know how much they're going to allocate to each team. They kind of just threw out their $412,000. They didn't know. There's no commissioner in the CFL right now. There's no managing body. So the CFLPA was like, you're going to get money. But now they're like, maybe not. But if the salary cap goes up, because they got more funding. They got more TV money. And that's how you increase the pay. That's what the UFL needs to do. Take note, UFL players. Instead of going on strike, play really good football, increase the TV revenue, and then you get paid more. That's what the CFL does. Okay? Through revenue sharing allocations. All right. So the teams that said they're not going to spend extra money, we're smart. Good call. Okay. Messy situation, Montreal Alouettes. Okay, so I mentioned yesterday their CEO, I forgot his name, but his name was Mark Waitman. He stepped down. He resigned, putting Danny McCocher, the GM, in place as the Senior Vice President of Football Operations. So there's more information from 3 Down Nation why he stepped down, why Mark Waitman stepped down. And here it is. The owner, since 2023, owner of Montreal, Pierre-Carl Pelledeau, when he bought the team, he said, we don't care if we make a profit. We just want to win football games. We want a cool fan experience. We want to fill the stadium. We want a great time. We want to win football games. We're going to win a Grey Cup, which they did in 2023, the same year he became the owner. Mark Waitman loved that idea. He's like, let's not worry about profit. Let's just go through and have a great football team. It worked. They won the East last year. It worked. But here's why Mark Waitman decided to quit. The owner wants to change the focus from just having a great football team to going back to making a profit. That almost killed the Montreal Alouettes previously. It almost kills every CFL team. That means you're going to increase ticket prices. It's going to be hard for people to get there to watch. Product's not going to improve. Okay? So they don't want to take a loss anymore. The owner wants to start making money. He's a businessman. He finally showed his true colors. He just wants to make money. Pierre Carl Pelledu. And Danny McCoach is like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Will he get a say about who the new commissioner is? He doesn't know. Just a bunch of I don't knows. NFL. Okay, NFL. A lot of weird news. NFL. Adam Schefter, insider, who got the CFL prediction of Trey Lance going to the Saskatchewan Roughriders as a done deal, wrong. If you want to take Adam Schefter's word, he's on ESPN all the time. But what's that mean? ESPN? I don't trust him, honestly. Hey, Adam Schefter said the New York Giants, even though they've signed Russell Wilson, they signed Jameis Winston, they have Tommy DeVito, they could still draft the quarterback in the first round of the draft with their number 3 pick, or they could trade up. Minnesota Vikings want J.J. McCarthy as their quarterback 1, but there's no guarantee he can do it, even though he said he's not hurt. And they originally said, well, you're the man. But then they're like, we didn't tell him he's the man. We don't know who the man is. But now they're saying, hey, we could bring in Aaron Rodgers as a bridge quarterback. So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is like, yup, you can. I want to come to Minnesota instead of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a mess. Okay? So is that going to happen? I don't know. We may never know. It may never happen. Aaron Rodgers may retire. We'll see. Cleveland Browns. What would be really ironic is that Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign with the Vikings. He retires. And then J.J. McCarthy blows his knee out again in the first game. I don't want to wish that on anyone, but that would be really ironic. Okay. Cleveland Browns. They've changed their focus from drafting Shedeur Sanders, who everyone thought they were going to draft Shedeur Sanders, to now drafting the edge rusher Abdul Carter, who refuses to work out at Penn State on a pro day because he hurt himself in the Fiesta Bowl. He's injured. I wouldn't draft him because of that. Injury prone. If Cam Ward is not available, they're not going to pick Shedeur Sanders. They're going to pick Abdul Carter. They have the number 2 pick. They got first pick at Shedeur Sanders most likely. Cam Ward's supposed to go to Tennessee. We'll see. They're doing private workouts at Tennessee. That'll be next. Okay. Cleveland Browns. I mentioned yesterday they were talking to the Falcons maybe trading for Kirk Cousins. Well, NFL rumors, whoever they are, said they still want to trade for Kirk Cousins. And then later in the day, they said Kirk Cousins was spotted in Cleveland. I can't guarantee that. I don't know if that's real or not. People have been giving NFL rumors some fake stuff, so see if they'll post it because they know they don't have any sources. I know I don't have any sources. I know I don't. I'm not posing as a source person. I'm an analyst. I'm analyzing. I'm not a source guy. I'm not Adam Schefter, even though I knew Trey Lance didn't go to Saskatchewan, so maybe I am Adam Schefter. Okay, Indianapolis Colts GM Chris Ballard talking about his quarterbacks. He says he sees a lot of the same characteristics, similar characteristics in Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. That's why they brought them both in to compete against each other. They're both garbage. That's the similarity. Colts, I don't know. You should fire the Colts from being in the NFL. Replace them with the Birmingham Stallions. Put them in Indianapolis. Make Indianapolis Stallions. They have a horse team there. They can put the Colts in Birmingham. They might win. They might not. They all have quarterbacks still. New York Giants. They expect Russell Wilson to be quarterback 1. They think Jameis Winston will be quarterback 2. But Jameis Winston could be quarterback 1 if Russell Wilson isn't good. Here's my take was, Jameis Winston's way funnier than Russell Wilson. He doesn't even try to be funny. He just said stupid stuff all the time. He's going to eat a W. What? I gets to play in the snow at the Cleveland. I'm not making fun of him. That's how he talks. I can do a magic trick. Wow. Okay, he's way funnier. He should be QB1 just so I can laugh a lot while the Giants get 24 touchdowns and 24 interceptions. Okay, Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter, so he's not going to participate at Penn State Pro Days. He's hiding. He's injured. He doesn't want to tell him when he's injured, but he's injured. Okay, Baltimore Ravens signed quarterback Chidobe Awuzie for 1 year. Cleveland Browns, they're having a private workout with Cam Ward on Wednesday, just in case he's around. They would like to pick him first and then not to get Abdul Carter. Shedeur Sanders will have a private workout with Cleveland after his Colorado Pro Day. Deion Sanders is hosting the Colorado Pro Day. You're going to have Shedeur Sanders there no matter what. But he's going to go to Cleveland and do a private workout. Kansas City Chiefs signed quarterback Nazeeh Johnson and defensive end Charles Omenihu. The New York Giants signed wide receiver Josh Reynolds, who played the Detroit Lions while Aaron Glenn was there as a D coordinator. That's their connection. He signed for 1 year for $5 million. Philadelphia Eagles signed offensive tackle Matt Pryor, 1 year contract. Tennessee Titans, they're going to be hosting a private workout with Cam Ward on Friday. Shedeur Sanders will have a private workout with Tennessee Titans after the Colorado Pro Day. Okay. New York Jets, Aaron Glenn, Josh Reynolds, said that already. San Francisco 49ers. I said, like 5 days ago, I said they want to trade Brandon Ayuk. They're clearing the shelf out. They're trying to create room to pick guys in the draft. Then they said they did not want to trade Brandon Ayuk. Well, today, NFL rumors, if we can trust them, I don't know if we can trust them or not, said San Francisco 49ers are open to trading Brandon Ayuk. I said open again because what's happening? I think NFL rumors is lying. I'm still reporting on it, just in case. I don't have sources. I got me and my internet. Okay, Cleveland Browns. Although I am surprisingly accurate on these things. Cleveland Browns. Kirk Cousins came to visit Cleveland, it sounds like. We'll see. Okay, NFL draft rumors. Chicago Bears, Las Vegas Raiders, Pittsburgh Steelers, Dallas Cowboys are all interested in drafting Ashton JT at running back. They all need a running back. I agree. LA Chargers, Seattle Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers are all interested in drafting wide receiver Emeka Igbaka from Ohio State. He ran at 4.4640. That's a lot of speed. They all need vertical speed. New York Giants, they got Russell Wilson. They got Jameis Winston, but they're also a team that's favored to draft quarterback Shedeur Sanders. They think he's a first-round quarterback. There's one of the few teams that think that. He could slide really far if he doesn't get drafted by the Giants. Maybe out of the first round. Deion Sanders has kept talking about what team he would like Shedeur to play for and would not play for. He said today, Coach Prime said he's down with the Cleveland Browns, New York Giants, Tennessee Titans, Las Vegas Raiders. Everyone who could pick Shedeur, he's fine with. He was just grandstanding before, it sounds like. Okay? Atlanta Falcons. Here's a big thing from the Elf. Okay? Elf kicker Lenny Craig, who kicked for the Surge, he got invited from the Elf. He's a German-born kicker to participate in NFL's International Player Program for a pro day with the NFL. He's the only kicker there in that pro day to hit 14 out of 14 field goals in the special team section. He beat every American kicker there. The range was between 35 and 55. He went perfect for 14 out of 14 field goals. Only person to do that. What's that getting? Well, it turns out a lot of teams wanted a piece of Lenny Craig. He's 22 years old, diamond in the rough from the Elf. Big opportunity for the Elf here. Okay, he gets a 3-year deal with the Falcons. He gets a signing bonus and he gets a guaranteed salary because other teams wanted him. They wanted to pick him up. They have Young Wei Hu, Young A Co. I don't remember his name. They have the Young Hao Ku, Young Yu Co. One of those, I don't know. Okay. Also at the NFL International Players Program, there are several other ELF players. Elf players, offensive tackle Leander Wiegand from the Ravens was there. Defensive back Marco Bedard. Defensive back for the Paris Musketeers was there. Punter Bastian Ruppelt for Frankfurt Galaxy was there. They did not get signed, but they were there. And then also from the Elf, the Vienna Vikings have added a large offensive lineman who's a native of Stockholm, Sweden, but he played college football at Temple University and the University of California in the FBS level, Group 5, Power 4 team, so he's very good. He's also very large. They have signed Victor Stoffel to the roster, giving them a huge offensive lineman, a massive signing is what they said in their article. So that's good for Vienna. They're trying to go back and win a championship. They won one championship. They lost last year to Ryan Fire. Norwich Storm will probably be like the Ryan Fire this year. We'll see. But it's a big deal for Vienna. Tim, you got any thoughts on that? You did a fine job today. Thanks. Corky the Crocodile, you got anything to say about that? I think this all went pretty well. You kind of just stuck to business and took care of business. Nice job. Give me a high five, Corky. Beep. Nice. Okay, you want to say the last part? Yeah. Check out the CFL News Hub for Canadian football articles, CFL articles. Check out the UFL News Hub for UFL articles. Check out our Substack, Football Scientific, for articles. And we wrote an article today on CFL News Hub about the offensive lineman signed by our Hamilton Tiger-Cats yesterday. And then if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, Football Scientific, and like this video. Or don't. Whatever. Thanks. Is that good enough? That was great. You did great, Corky. Good job. Thanks for joining us. Wow!